Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Crowded Booth. It's been a hot minute, we'll say, before we were back, but we got Ralph to my left, yes, and Will to my right. Is that how it's opposite? I'm looking at it different. Ralph is to my right, Will is to my left. But guys, how's your week been so far? Will, you ventured up to a part of the country that not many of us get to. Walk me through what the Grand Canyon was like.
Very hot and very deep. It's a very deep hole in the ground. But no, it's a truly beautiful and amazing place. If you ever have an opportunity to go out there, go, because the pictures you see on the internet or that people show you don't do it justice. And if you're going to hike, take plenty of water, because I thought I was going to die.
You thought you were going to die. Was it? Now it's a different type. It's a dry heat. Am I right in saying that it's a dry
absolutely.
type of heat, different from the humidity we have down here in the southeast? Ralph, you did not go to the Grand Canyon, but what'd you do this weekend? How was it, and how's your week been so far? It's been a while since we've talked.
Well, I mean, I guess this weekend didn't really do much. Watched some baseball, some disappointing baseball, if I'd say so personally. This week, just worked really. Did some pressure washing today. What a adventure that was, so to say. Got locked out of my house today for some odd reason. So
yeah, heard about that.
Yeah, I know you have. Yeah.
It's been interesting, but we do appreciate you tuning in. This is the crew. Hey, if you haven't already, check on the bottom line. You can sign up today at thecrowdedbooth.com for the free newsletter. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We had a great post on Instagram about what the Masters meant. We're going to play some of those clips from some of our fans and viewers throughout the show. We appreciate them sending us in. And also, if you want to be a part of the show, make sure to comment, and we will answer your questions. Tuesday, Thursdays, we are live as we are going to talk a little bit about the Braves, and we're going to also talk about the Masters, which is going on the TV right here to my left. But first off, I promised and I said that I would do this. If they offered me the opportunity, I would do it. Shout out to Rachel Leary. Hooked me up with the Ole Miss baseball T-shirt. So here we go, the beautiful baby blue. There we go. I said I'd wear it on the show if they did, and so they did. Appreciate Rachel for doing that. But guys, let's get into our first question of the day. We cannot – we can't wait to talk about that. The question, we have two questions. But before we do, we're going to talk a little bit, because we did have our March Madness challenge. One person has already reached out. If you are one of those winners, we're going to be reaching out by Monday with your prize through email. I love that the person who we didn't actually know from, upwards in North Carolina, don't even know who he is. He joined it and he shot me an email. So we have his. The other two, I think, is a good friend of ours, Wages Carroll, came in second, I think, and then there's another one in there we'll have to get as well. But, guys, it was an exciting finish in a national title game. We can recap that, or let's just give me your opening thoughts. Ralph, you were correct. Baylor was the top team. They showed it. They're just more physical. Were you all that surprised?
Well, I didn't get to watch the game at all. So, as the replays, not really.
No, Ralph chose not to watch.
No, I had to sleep. I had work the next morning. No, but watching the replay, I was not surprised. I think Baylor has one of the best defensive players in Gerard Butler, and Davion Mitchell is one of the best passers. Definitely, he had 16 assists, and then he could score the best of them. I think they shut down Drew Timme, made Jalen Suggs the best player for Gonzaga to shoot, and obviously he had a great game. But when you're without Drew Timme, you're losing half your offense, honestly.
Yeah, you're losing a lot of your offense, and they were able to lose a lot of their firepower, honestly. They just never really seemed in sync. Now, Suggs is going to be – he's a fantastic athlete, no doubt about it. Will, were you surprised? First off, you kind of joked with him, but a 9:20 start, I mean, are we serious about that? That is a late start for a national
Right.
title game later than what we've seen on the college football aspect of it.
Well, I was on the West Coast, so it wasn't
There we
a
go.
huge concern to me. But no, what was a shock to me was the start that Baylor got off to. They've been a second half team all year, and they came out and were just putting it on Gonzaga. And I'm real happy about it because as an Auburn fan, we can stake a tiny claim to this national championship. For those of you that remember, Davion Mitchell started his college career at Auburn. He backed up Jared Harper and found a much better opportunity and got a national championship out of it.
Yeah, able to get a national championship. Listen, Baylor from start to finish was just more dominant. I think that's what we could say. They dominated from start to finish. They looked like the more complete team. And Ralph, you pointed out a couple players. Will, obviously, you pointed out one. But it's a team to me that never they don't have a superstar. Like they have a lot of really, really good players, but there's not a guy on that team that's going to go top 5 in the NBA draft in June. And I think that's what makes their roster so special, a cohesive group.
You talking about Baylor?
Really good. Yeah, I'm talking about Baylor. They don't have necessarily a guy that is just going to light up the charts. Now they have a really good supporting cast, I feel like, but there's not a Cade Cunningham on that roster that's going to be a number 1 pick.
I'm partial and biased, but I think Davion Mitchell could be that guy.
Yeah, I think
he's kind of been overlooked to this point, and he had an amazing tournament.
Yeah, a lot of guys see their draft stock boosted over a tournament. Davion Mitchell's going to be one of those guys. Now, whether he rises as a number 2 pick come June, right. I don't know. But I'm talking about a blue blood that came in as a highly touted recruit, picks the school. Everyone knows he's a one-and-done type of guy. They didn't have that guy that necessarily meant.
Right.
As we saw this season, it really didn't. The national championship didn't offer any of that except for Suggs, who quite the athlete, was highly recruited as a quarterback as well. So Suggs, he's going to be a really good player in his own right. But let's get to our question today. The first one is going to be for one of our favorite viewers. Should we talk about Major League Fishing? The MLF, there's an app for it. Guys, fishing is definitely a sport. If you don't think that fishing is a sport, there is a ton of preparation that goes into this. We have an old archived episode talking about some fishing. And I mean, what do you guys think? It's definitely a sport in my opinion.
100% agree. I mean, if you go out there and fish all day and you tell me you're not tired from that, then you're way behind, obviously. I mean, you go watch some of these fishing tournaments, especially. I know my uncle has competed in a few of them, so he's been out there all day. He sees some of these fishes that are caught, and especially, it comes in the last few minutes on the lake, and you're catching one that, takes you in the lead. It's huge. It's like shooting a game winner, honestly.
Yeah, it's one of those that can definitely make a difference. And it has a little bit of intensity to it. What we're talking about, Will, fishing. There's so much strategy goes behind it. From where you're going to have your boat to your fishing spot to all these different types of things that you have to prepare for. You said before the show, I'm not really good at it, so I know that there's guys that are really, really good at it, and it's for a reason.
Oh yeah, I mean it's definitely a sport. As far as us talking about it, I don't know what the three of us could contribute to that as far as analysis or even commentary. I do enjoy the fishing, and I'm not a guy that just throws a bobber out there and just lets it sit. Mm-hmm. So I'm a little more involved than that, but I really don't know much of the strategy involved. I know very little.
Yeah, and I think, too, there's a ton of strategy involved with fishing, and the video I'm referencing would be fantastic for people to tune in as go back on YouTube into archives. Baseball now at the college level. Collegiate bass fishing is massive. And then you go up to, obviously, MLF, and you make a lot of money. I mean, you make a ton of money from these tournaments, and it's something that I think is really big for kind of the development of the sport per se, because talking with them, and they were saying, it gets slept on much like hunting does. Honestly, it really does. People say, well, you just go out there and you have your bow or you have your gun and no, there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of it's the same as you would have a game plan for baseball, football, basketball. You're going to have a game plan for these sports. So yeah, I mean, I think it is. Now talking about it, we may have to get a proposal where we have to go out and have a on-site location of fishing that I would very much enjoy. Ralph may not enjoy because it does involve a family member of his, but I would enjoy. I would definitely enjoy.
I want to say something for Will though, real quick. Talk about bass fishing doesn't imply to him a little bit. Now Auburn, their bass fishing team was under some allegations lately.
Hey! Those are out. Those are done. They're in the clear.
They were suspended for a whole entire year for breaking COVID violations. I thought it was a little too harsh for a whole entire year. They can't, the players can't, or the members can't wear Auburn bass fishing paraphernalia, can't wear jerseys or anything. I'm like, that's just too harsh. It's just like, I can't go out there and say I'm part of this bass fishing team. Well, no, you can't. You're not allowed to. I think that's just too far.
Yeah, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day. We're going to go to question 2 of the day because that one pertains a little bit more to what we're going to talk about. But we do have a comment from Brian Mouchon. Auburn's decision on punishing the fishing club was a poor decision. Auburn does have an impressive program. They really do. Brian, we appreciate you coming in with a little bit of feedback because you're standing up for Will, and Will probably appreciates that. So, Brian, even though you got the Georgia polo on, you might have made a friend with Will on that one. Completely, obviously true. It was a poor decision on their part. But I want to go to the question number 2. Is a hot dog a sandwich? We had it queued up for a show not too long ago, but we're going to bring it back here. Guys, I was approached 2 Fridays ago, okay? Saw an individual eating a hot dog. And this individual is not watching the show, but I know that they know that I'm doing this tonight. They had their hot dog. And for people holding the hot dog, let's see if we have this. Okay, so here's my wallet, all right? The hot dog is here, and it'll sit right there, okay? You're going to eat the hot dog like this. Now, this person turned the hot dog this way and ate the hot dog. Therefore, saying it might be a sandwich. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Because we consider hoagies or sub sandwiches, which are open-faced pieces of bread. Guys, I really feel like a hot dog should be rolled a sandwich. Will, I'll go with you first. Do you even care, Will?
Not really, but I don't think a hot dog's a sandwich. A hot dog is a hot dog. It's its own thing. There's nothing else like it. It's unique. It's not fair to the hot dog to throw it into the sandwich category.
Well, okay, now let's talk about this. If you really gutted it down to its fine print, okay, a hot dog, you have bratwurst. So as a bratwurst, you throw that on a bun. Is that a sandwich, or what is that? Is that still a version of a hot dog?
It's a bratwurst.
So is it a bratwurst sandwich?
It's a bratwurst.
It's just a bratwurst. A bratwurst by itself.
It's on a bun. Do we call a hamburger sandwich? We just call it a hamburger.
Yes.
It's on a bun.
It's a sandwich.
It's on a bun. It's not on bread.
It is.
It's on bread, but it's not on a slice of bread.
It's a roll.
It's a
that Brian's bringing the heat in tonight.
A hot dog roll.
I've never heard that.
If it is indeed a, if we're saying it's a roll, I like the hoagie reference. If it's a hoagie, I mean, what are we looking on there? So, anyways, let's don't talk too much more about this. Rick Gordy comes in with a comment. No, just no. A hot dog is not a sandwich. Ralph, I want you to answer to Mr. Rick Gordy here. Do you believe a hot dog is a sandwich or not?
I believe it's a hot dog is a sandwich because it's a piece of bread, like an open piece of bread, like you said, a hoagie, split down the middle with something in between. Now, obviously, it's what it is. I mean, I even looked it up. Is a hot dog a sandwich? It says, according to the Merriam-Webster, a sandwich is two or more slices of bread or a split roll having a filling in between. By that definition, hot dog qualifies as a sandwich.
Margene Waters is watching right now, and Miss Margene, I need you to comment and let me know is a hot dog a sandwich. That's really pressing. We have one more comment before we move on. Anything in a casing isn't a sandwich. Interesting. Is this a sports talk show anymore? What is this?
I have a personal comment from my dad himself. Since
Rick Gordy, you are incorrect.
Yeah, so my dad would like to say hot dog is not a sandwich. A hot dog stands alone. So he's with Will on this one. I
understand. Well, the good thing is it doesn't determine anyone's salvation, so we're all going to heaven nonetheless. And that's all that really matters. Am I right? Let's go to the next topic of conversation. Before we do, we're going to play one of those clips from our Instagram that we had someone talking about what the Masters means to them. First up, we have from Macon, Georgia, Anna Claire Gordon,
proud Georgian and ultimate Masters fan. This week is truly a tradition unlike any other. I can't wait to see who's going to be crowned champion on Sunday. It's going to be an exciting week.
Guys, obviously the Masters plays a big part. We're going to be talking about that here a little bit later on. What to you, well, I'll ask you this, what does the Masters mean to you? Before we get into a little bit of Braves talk, but what does the Masters mean to you? Will, lead us off.
I think it's the arrival of spring and really kind of the second half of the arrival of the new year in sports, because you have opening day, which happens about a week or two before. That's kind of the first half. And you got the Masters right after. In April, flowers are starting to bloom. Spring's here. Augusta National looks incredible. And it's just a snapshot of the region that we call home and the state that we call home. So it's kind of the arrival of the new year, and it really helps kick off the golf season as well, because it's the first of the 4 majors of the year.
Yeah, it's obviously a big time. Before we get to your answer, Ralph, I promise you I'm going to let you answer some questions tonight. We're going to play some more, but we're going to play another one. This is one's from our good friend Wendell Barfield, who I think at a certain point of the show he was our intern, and then he was moved around because of Russell. So we're going to talk Wendell Barfield. What does he think?
One of the best weeks of the year and the start of spring. Golf finally getting, or really just getting, the attention it deserves during the entire week in the entire sports world. Everyone's usually watching. It's always exciting, no matter who's playing, no matter who's winning. Hopefully some of the fan favorites show up, like a Jordan Spieth or Justin Thomas this week. But I'm really just excited to watch great golf on the greatest golf course on the planet.
Yeah, guys, it's definitely going to be a fantastic week. It kicked off already. Ralph, for you, what does the Masters mean to you?
Well, I'll be honest. I started watching the Masters, probably, as I'm watching now. I watch it probably every round now, but about 5 or 6 years ago is when I kind of really started getting into it. And what Will said was exactly correct. It started spring, started the golf season, all that. But really, it's just kind of, it feels like this year is getting better. Obviously, we had COVID last year. The Masters wasn't in the spring, it was in the fall. It's a lot different than we're used to. It just feels like everything's getting back to normal. And with you seeing fans there, it's exciting. You get to see people react to some of the great shots. Tommy Fleetwood with a hole-in-one today. It's just awesome seeing some of that kind of stuff. Seeing how awesome this course looks right now. It's beautiful. Balls are flying in the woods all over the place. If you watch Bryson DeChambeau today, we saw about 5 or 6 go in the woods today. So, the Masters is here. It's beautiful, and it's probably my favorite weekend of the year.
We got another one that we're going to throw up there is actually one of our good friends. He's been on the podcast, JT Holton. And JT actually went as far to get himself a background in this video. So, JT, we're going to go hear from him what the Masters means to him.
It's just the epitome of golf, the tradition, the pageantry, the beauty. Augusta National stands alone as just one of the most beautiful pieces of God's green earth you'll find anywhere. And as a native Georgian, it's a proud, prideful feeling we have that we, as a state, put on the most legendary golf tournament there is. It's just, as they say, a tradition unlike any other.
Guys, it definitely is. I think JT hit the nail right on the head of what the Masters means to the state of Georgia. I mean, when you think Georgia, if you are not from the state, obviously people think the Masters. I mean, that's one of the things they think in Augusta. So that's something that's great. Before we move on, we're going to talk with Henry Jones, who had a fantastic clip. Those who may not know, Henry's a good friend of mine, played golf in college. He's now pursuing golf professionally as well. And so Henry had a great take for him personally, which really hit home, I think, for a lot of us that really know him.
I remember it being one of the first tournaments that I watched with my dad when I started playing golf. I was 15 years old. I remember I never liked watching the tournament because I thought golf was super boring, but the Masters was one of the first tournaments I remember being hooked on and just fell in love with the game. So it's obviously a special weekend, and it's really hard to describe, honestly. I've been there one time, and it was breathtaking, but it's always a fun weekend, and there's a lot of hype and anticipation leading into the weekend, and it's always exciting. It's always a great finish. It's always fun to see the best players in the world play probably the best course in the world. So, we're very excited for
Henry, I told him, I said, hey, man, you got to send me a 15-second answer. And he ended up sending me a dissertation. Love him to death. But I think that Henry, honoring his late father was fantastic. That's how he fell in love with the game. For all of us who love different sports, we probably fell in love with the sport that we love because we watched it with our dad or with our grandfather, with our mom, with our dad, our mother, or grandmother, something like that. You have those big things. Brian Michon with another comment. What the Masters means to him. Professional golfers value this win more. I've met more than 33 Masters winners that have a reaction like no other, young or old. If you study Bobby Jones, the Masters, it's historic and regal. I mean, I think that it's on a level by itself. If you win the Masters and you never win anything else, you're still somewhere down in golf history, I feel like, guys. So let's talk a little bit. We'll go ahead and roll into the Masters, actually. I want to talk to you guys about what is from day one. Now, I don't know how much you got to watch of today's round. Obviously, you already talked about DeChambeau, Ralph. He struggled big time on them, but this is a course that he typically does struggle on. What are your opening thoughts, Ralph, of how the Masters has played out here on day one?
Well, I think a lot of people were surprised with the leaderboards, except for Spieth. Spieth really came on in the back nine today. A lot of people want to see some of their favorite names pop up. You want to see Justin Thomas, Dustin Johnson, Rory McIlroy, all those guys at the top of the leaderboard. But you got guys like Matsuyama and Brian Harman up top. You're not really used to those guys being up there, but they're playing real great golf. Justin Rose right now is leading it. He had a great round today. He shot a 65. I mean, you don't see many 65s on the first round really with how everything's going. But I thought today was a good golf. We saw a lot of great golfers today. I was expecting to see some better shots by some of the bigger names guys, but it's only day one, and you have 3 more days to bounce back.
Will, I want to throw this to you because I think this is really important. When you have such an impressive day, and I'm not asking you out of experience, Will, because it's not like you played on the Masters or anything, but I'm saying, how hard do you think from a mindset standpoint, when you play so well on the first day, like a Justin Rose has, to keep up that momentum throughout the weekend?
Extremely difficult because a lot of guys have great first and second rounds, and then come Sunday, they're nowhere to be found. Course gets harder to play. They might get a little loose with their play. So it's great to have that momentum to come out on top, but very rarely does a guy that's leading after one round is leading after the fourth round.
Yeah, right now, if I'm correct, and if it's updated, I'm looking over here to my left. Justin Rose finished today. He shot a 65, 7 under, and was able to – he's got a 4-stroke lead on Matsuyama, who's in second with a host of others right there. Guys, how do you feel about Rose's chances? I mean, I know from a betting line standpoint, it's going to be a popular pick throughout the weekend, but for Rose, I mean, he's got the pressure on him. Everyone knows how he's played so far. I'll throw it back to you, Will. Do you think Justin Rose could carry that momentum? Is he the type of player that can ride this first day wave into the whole weekend and into Sunday?
Yeah, I do. If there's a guy up there, I'm kind of looking at the top 4 or 5 on the leaderboard. If there's a guy that can keep it up, it's a guy like Justin Rose, because he's been there, he's done it, been on the PGA Tour for a long time, won a lot of tournaments, a lot of big tournaments. So if he's the guy that's up there right now to do it, he can do it. There are, especially in majors, there's usually the known guy and then the unknown guy that is just sticking around that stays up there at the top, and they just duel it out on Sunday. So there's a couple guys up there that could do it. Webb Simpson, another one who's won a couple times on the PGA Tour. Patrick Reed, former Masters champion, he's sitting tied for 4th at 2 under. So there's some big names up there at the top, and that'll probably stick around come Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you put yourself in the driver's seat early on, it does give you a comfort level to play with. But you never, just like in a lot of other sports, you don't want to play to lose, just trying to hold on. And when that mind starts working, that can be real trouble. Ralph, Will talked about a couple other guys, but you talked about some guys that had made some strong finishes today as we kind of wrap up round one. Who are some guys that may be, in that kind of, that maybe they're 1 or 2 under, but could make a big run this weekend who have that experience?
I think it's Jordan Spieth's the big one. I mean, obviously he's won. He's been here and almost won twice, and he won last weekend in San Antonio. And he's coming off a great weekend last week. So I look to see him have a great day tomorrow. Honestly, he's right now 1 under. He's on 17 right now, if I believe so. He's playing great golf right now. He had an eagle to put him 1 under today. He's shooting like that he is today right now in the back nine. He is a dangerous golfer. And he is probably he is the favorite probably if he keeps playing like he is right now.
Yeah, if he continues to play like he does right now, I think the momentum is huge. And we'll stay on the topic for a little bit because, Will, I wanted to throw it back to you because Ralph did mention Spieth. He had the big win. How important from the psyche is it for Spieth to get that momentum? Because, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of guys that get to get to Augusta, the aura of Augusta National, all these different things that happen, and it can be overwhelming. It really can. But for Spieth, who's the kind of guy that's been there and done this before, but that win last week was really pivotal, I think, for his chances going into this weekend.
It was huge, not for this weekend, but for his career, because he was one of the top players in the world, 2015, 16, 17, and then just something happened. He just kind of fell off. And he's really been putting together some good tournaments. I thought he was going to win earlier this year out at Pebble Beach, and then followed up with a good showing in Florida in the Florida swing. And they played 3 or 4 tournaments in a row down there. But it's big. And you talk about the aura, he's used to it because he's won a Masters. So big for his confidence. And I think mentally he's in a great spot. Today I think it was 9. He triple bogeyed 9. Just a breakdown of a hole, and he goes to 10. He's just got his head down shaking, but he does see an Augusta member that he recognizes and stops and talks to him for a second as he's going to 10, and then stripes one down the middle of the fairway. So mentally he's there. I think he's going to have a really good tournament. He just finished his first round 71, 1 under. That puts him in a good spot. He's top 10 because the leaderboard, not a lot of low scores today, like we said. So I think Spieth's going to have a good weekend.
Yeah, Spieth going to carry that momentum, and like you talked about, just to rejuvenate his career, even if he can get a solid finish this weekend. I mean, obviously you want to go out there and win every single tournament, but you have to be realistic as a golfer. Guys, let's talk a little bit about Bryson DeChambeau, because this is a guy who we've talked about before. He has the people either love him or they hate him, and he has this new identity of golf that I was actually talking. We heard earlier from Henry Jones, and he plays the game, and he talked about just – he's brought something new into the game. He's brought excitement, which if you're a fan of golf, that should never be something that you hate, because you want people to pay more attention to your sport. But I want to get your guys' take, because this is a guy who we know he can drive the ball so many yards. But when it comes to certain things, that's where he kind of, the shorter game, I should say. That's where it may fall, no pun intended, short a little bit in his game. But I'll come back to you and then we'll go to Ralph. But DeChambeau, does it surprise you how he's performed so early on? In I should say today?
Sorry, I was muted. No, not really surprised, even though I did expect him to have a good showing this year. But it's still early, just 1 round. He hasn't played Augusta very well because he's a very smart guy. There's a lot of brains that goes into his game. But a lot of times you see him make these shots, and he looks like he's bronze over brain, which is not really true. And Augusta is a very technical golf course. You gotta pick your spots where you go for it. You gotta kind of play conservative at times. And DeChambeau doesn't like to play conservative, and it cost him last year with a poor showing, and it cost him today, poor round.
Bryce, I think you're muted also.
Yeah, Will did it, then I thought I'd do it. Ralph's the only one who hasn't done it yet. I think you hit the nail on the head, because you can't overreact after day 1. Ralph, are you overreacting day 1? If you've got money on DeChambeau, if you've got that's your pick to win this weekend, and not just specifically, but if you're a fan watching and saying, should I be worried about Bryson DeChambeau this weekend? Because listen, guys, he's been a popular pick for almost every single tournament because he's one of the more popular names in golf right now. And Ralph, I saw you earlier. You were like, he's playing terrible right now. Should fans who have picked DeChambeau, should they overreact in this situation?
No, I wouldn't overreact. I think he's just doing what he always does. He always has a bad first round. I feel like he's just kind of he's trying to hit the ball too far. I really think he is. I mean, he hit 7 out of 14 greens fairways today, which is not very normal for him. I think he puts himself in a horrible situation where he has to punch out. He loses a stroke on that hit. It just puts him in a bad situation where he's just trying to, put it further up to the green and make it, I know what he's trying to, I get what he's trying to do, but sometimes you just got to be smart on those scores. You can't, it's not as open as you want it to be. You have way more trees, way more wooded areas. You got to be safer with your shot sometimes. And, he finished 4 over today. I mean, I was a little shocked. I was hoping he'd go at least, he only had 1 birdie today. I thought he could have done a little bit better, but, it's obviously just day 1. He has tomorrow to get better. Yeah,
we're going to take it day by day, because I'm telling you one thing is we've watched the Masters. it could be a completely different story tomorrow night. And then Saturday could be a completely different story. So that's what's so exciting about this tournament. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about some Braves baseball and maybe some reasons why you shouldn't overreact, and maybe some things that are stuck out during the opening road trip as the Braves get set to play their home opener against those same Philadelphia Phillies tomorrow night. When we come back, a quick word from one of our sponsors.
Cook's Place began serving our signature hot dogs in 1985 from a cart on Broadway. We still serve the best hot dogs and scrambled dogs in town at the corner of Moon and Miller Road and at the landings. Our friendly staff won't let you leave hungry. Come in and eat to the beat with our 50s jukebox. Cook's Place, fast service, great people, awesome food. What are you waiting for?
Back here on the Crowded Booth, you are watching. If you're listening as well, we appreciate you listening as well. Make sure to follow us on all social media at the Crowded Booth, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. And if you participated in our March Madness competition, first off, we had 60-plus applicants, and that was fantastic. So we're loving that. I think that, Ralph, you may have finished the lowest out of all three of us. So I think that did happen. So just wanted to point that out. And, Ralph, you were wrong about the tournament. Ralph, you were right about the Big Ten and Baylor. So we'll give you that at least. But, yeah, anyways, let's talk some baseball, guys. Opening day. We talked about the Masters. What Henry described opening day, or what the Masters was to him, that's kind of how I feel about opening day. Signal of spring. We're tired of watching number 97 pitching, number 97 hit against number 33,000 or whatever on the back of the spring training jersey. This is real baseball. These games mean something. And, of course, the Atlanta Braves, much like they did in 2019, they get swept in the opening series by the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, you know how 2019 turned out. It was positive for the Braves. They won the division. But, guys, take a little temperature check of the Braves. They're off to a slow start, but what was important to me is they won 2 straight, swept the doubleheader, and headed in with some momentum back into this weekend where they're going to be playing in front of around 14 to 15,000 on this first homestand. They're going to increase that up to about 25 to 30,000 next homestand in a couple of weeks. But, Will, I'll get from you. Temperature check. Obviously, opening weekend didn't go the way Braves fans wanted, but as we know, Braves fans are some of the best and the worst fans in Major League Baseball on social media. And listen, I want to say this before you go. We have to remember all Braves fans are not the ones you see on their comments on Facebook and Twitter. That is not the majority of fandom at all. There's a lot of people who never get on those social media pages. So, Will, I'll let you have it. What was kind of maybe a big takeaway from this opening road series?
Oh, man. Should I quote my tweet that I wrote replying to you?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I think the problem with the Braves was they didn't play Johan Camargo.
No,
just saying.
Oh, man.
He's the face of the franchise. He's the face of the Braves. He's the Panamanian Prince. But no, the Braves are fine. The Braves are fine. There's no need to overreact. But I am a little concerned because the way that the Braves lost, at least in Washington, the one game they dropped was kind of what I predicted was the bullpen. Bullpen hurt them. But the Braves are going to be fine. Ozzie Albies off to a slow start. April's not usually his month. We know he'll turn it around because he's a much better than a 180 hitter or whatever he's hitting right now. The Braves traditionally they start slow, even though they're young. They start very slow, but they're going to stick around. And the strengths of the team look really strong. And I think the strength right now is the bench. Pablo Sandoval has been the clutchest player on the team, proven a lot of people wrong, me included. Pretty much won 2 games for the Braves. So Braves. Ralph, what you got on the Braves? I haven't watched a ton of games. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've been out of town. I give that to you.
And that's fine. And that's fine. And also, let's throw out there because I did have someone, the Bally Sports. People are not loving that because a lot of people around here can't watch it. So I do encourage you to download the 680 The Fan app on your phone. You can listen to it completely free from wherever you are, and you get to hear the golden pipes of Ben Ingram coming through your radio waves, and that's always a good thing. But Ralph, Will talked about the Braves, and listen, they go up there. And let's just open this discussion, and Ralph, I think Will really hit home that the bullpen needed help. And I think that was something that we see. Now, I'll say this. The bullpen is not necessarily as deep as it was in 2020. And I think we can agree with that. You have Melanson, who's now out west, and you also have Shane Green, who's still a free agent. They did sign Jesse Biddle back, which I don't know if you guys caught that. They signed him to a minor league free agent contract.
Throwing gas.
When you look at what this bullpen has, Sean Newcomb looked fantastic yesterday. That's a weapon. And Will, you did hit on the fact that all these bullpen arms can throw to righty and lefty. It's not like you have a bunch of, for baseball terms, loogies, lefty only guys on the roster. But Ralph, what was your biggest takeaway? Obviously, the bullpen was there, but I think, as a positive, they are gaining some momentum heading into this home series.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. One thing, though, I took away is Acuna. He had a really slow start in Philadelphia. Everyone's like, oh, no, bad season for Ronnie. Here it comes. Well, it's the first weekend of baseball. Why are we so upset? We saw what he did in Washington the past 2 days. I mean, he had a great 2 games. He was, I think he had 4 RBIs against Washington, had 2 home runs off Scherzer. I mean, you can't say much better than that. I think he played extremely well. I think he's really excited to be back home in front of fans. I know he's on show out, doing what he can. I think he had 2 stolen bases, too. He's on his way to 40 for 40 this year already. Mm-hmm. I thought pitching was not as bad. I think pitched incredible yesterday. If you watch some of that, he pitched 5 innings, 2-hit baseball with 5 Ks. I mean, I was expecting maybe 2 to 3 innings out of him. He goes out and shoves for 5 innings and then shuts the Nationals down against Strasburg. I mean, you got a veteran pitcher who's won a World Series and the World Series MVP against a rookie who throws 98 and probably throws a fastball and a slider really only. But, he went out there and pitched extremely well. I really like what he did, though. I'm really excited to see Charlie Morton pitch. I think he's pitching tomorrow night, if I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think he pitched extremely well against Philadelphia. He had that one bad inning that just got away from him. Just couldn't throw a strike for a little bit. But, it's the beginning of the year. We have 150-something games left. Nothing to be worried about. I mean, the Braves aren't going to go 0-162. That's just not possible, honestly.
No team's ever done that.
No, and I think
no team's ever done that.
No one's going 162-0 either. You're going to lose 30-plus games more than likely. It's going to happen. It's called baseball for a reason.
Well, I'll say this: the Braves could lose 70 games this year and still make the playoffs at 92-70. Like people have
and
to
probably win their
not
division.
like football. Yeah, and it's not like football. Like people, I think, take the attitude of college football, and especially here in the Southeast. Let's say, for example, if Georgia loses to Auburn, that's cross the river. Let's say if Georgia loses to Florida, that is a detrimental loss that can ruin your entire season. Okay, it doesn't allow you to go to Atlanta. If the Braves get swept by the Phillies the whole year, but the Braves still win more games, it doesn't matter. None of that matters. And I think we have to take a step back and realize, too, it's baseball. It is one of the most unpredictable sports. And in that fashion, guys, the whole series, Phillies did not hit the ball all that hard. If you go back and look at some of the analytics, for the analytics people, there was not a high exit velo. The Braves had the higher exit velo, but nothing was falling. Even in the opening day game, Atlanta, you go back and look, Alec Boehm, the rookie third baseman for the Phillies, going to be a great player one day. He had an infield single for a single. Ralph, you and I watched the game yesterday. Ozzie Albies hit one, or Max Fried or somebody hit one right over the pitcher's mound. It's baseball. It's one of the most unpredictable sports there are. It's just how it falls. And I think you have to take a step back and realize they're getting the momentum. This team is really, really good. They're still very good. To me, they're still the favorite in the East because until you aren't, one series doesn't prove that you're not. Yeah, you have to be able to finish that. And the Phillies have yet to show that they can finish off a season. And they really have. And so that's great for their fan base. But I think you have to take a turn and take the temperature and say, listen, Braves fans need to calm down a little bit. You need to get out of the comments and stop. I'll say this completely. And I think we're all on the same page. Ender Inciarte starting the game 1 of the doubleheader. If you're upset about that, you need to go on a walk. You need to go do some exercise and get some stress out of your life. Seriously.
Or go play
because it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, or go play a 10-inning game, a 9-inning game, a 9-inning game, then have a day off and travel day, play 9 innings, then play a 7-inning game, and tell me how tired you are. Pache needs a break. He's a rookie. You're going to have to let him take a day off. I'm surprised they let Freddie play the whole game. I would have just sat Freddie. Let Pablo play first base. They sat Darno because he needed a day off. There's nothing wrong with a guy that's taking a day off, especially during a doubleheader.
Well, and this goes for pitchers as well, and Will, I want you to comment on this because we're going to see innings limits like we haven't seen because of the shortened season and because you don't know what it's going to look like. Like Ian Anderson is not going to go out there and throw 200 innings. Like it's not going to happen. That's not what they want to do. He's never done that before. So, Will, when you take a look at the starting pitching staff, I mean, they got Charlie Morton. He's going to pitch in a white Braves uniform for the first time since 2008. I'm excited to watch it, but he's going to be good. Like everything's going to be okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah. Your 200 inning guys, I think there's only two guys that the Braves are comfortable throwing 200 innings this year, and that would be Max Fried and Charlie Morton. The rest of them, like you said, are not. Ian Anderson, wouldn't be surprised to see him have a couple starts where he's just skipped. And, Drew Smiley will get some starts. And we know the Braves have been stockpiling what we call 4A players, 4A pitchers, the guys that are too good for AAA, not quite good enough for the big leagues. Bryce Wilson's going to come up and get a spot start. Kyle Wright's going to get a spot start. The Braves have a laundry list of guys that can start games because, like you said, Ian Anderson, he's never thrown 200 innings. He can't go out there, full bore all the time for a whole season. His arm's just not going to hold up. But I do have a bone to pick with those people, even though that is smart. I'm going to use the Mets as an example. They pulled Jacob deGrom the other night after he threw 77 pitches, and I think he threw, seven shutout innings.
Mm-hmm.
And they lost the game, and he came out after 77 pitches. The dude is the best pitcher in baseball. He's been there, done it year after year. Guys like him, and that's why I said Fried and Morton, they can stay in the game. They can stay in games longer. They can pitch more innings, but it's the young guys that we got to be careful about, like Huascar Noah. I'm really high on him because he threw extremely well. He's not a guy that is going to be throwing probably even 100 innings this year because I think he'll get some relief duty just because he throws about 100 miles an hour. So you gotta pick and choose who you limit is my argument here.
Well, and two, Ian Anderson's never done that before. They've never done this before. I mean, even at the minor league level, they have these guys on pitch limits that we don't even know about. The front office is saying, I don't want this guy to throw more than 150, 125 innings because we want to conserve his arm. And they're going to have to learn how to do all that. Ian Anderson's going to have to learn. This is what separates, to me, the good from the elite pitchers. You can't go out every single time and have your best stuff. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. You're not going to have your A-plus stuff every single time you're going to go out there. You can't go out there and pitch max effort, honestly, every single pitch. You've got to learn how to pace yourself, especially as a starting pitcher. That's why I like Sean Newcomb in his role right now, because he never really could figure out how to pace himself. But I'm going to tell you one thing. If they throw him there for an inning or two and he can let it go at 99, 100 miles an hour, and he's got those two pitches, and Will, you pointed out in the text yesterday, as a reliever, you really just need 2+ pitches. That third to fourth pitch never really developed for Newcomb. And I'm not saying that he still couldn't. He's still young. We're still pretty young. He's 27, 28 years old. I mean, it's just exciting. I don't even know. He may be 26, 25. It's just this Braves pitching staff is really young. They're going to be fun to watch.
He's 27. Okay. You hit the nail on the head. He's 27.
So he's 27, and it's going to be okay. You talk about the back end of the bullpen, and I told Ralph this. Ralph disagreed with me on this, but, Will Smith against Juan Soto. Listen, Juan Soto is one of the best players in baseball. Like, I'm sorry. Braves fans don't love it, and I know you two guys don't love it. My personal opinion is that if you took the three top guys in the National League, young and upcoming stars, which I think you could take 2 from the East and 1 from the West, Tatis Jr., Acuna Jr., and Soto, all 3 of those guys are going to be measured for the rest of their careers because they've all come up essentially in the kind of the same time frame of one another. So I think when you look at those guys, I mean, you could say this guy's got a little more potential, this guy's got more power. Juan Soto, to me, man, his just hit tool is really, really fantastic. And so he just won that battle against Will Smith. It doesn't mean Will Smith's bad. It just means that Juan Soto's good, and he won that battle. I mean, I guarantee you those two are going to face off again at some point during the season.
Well, Juan Soto's experience, we all know he's about 30. Joe Simpson exposed that for everybody. I don't like Juan Soto.
That's okay. I should have worn my my Phillies shirt on the show today. I should have worn my Phillies shirt today on the show.
Gosh, how can you call yourself a Braves fan and own a Phillies shirt?
I love the sport, man. Absolutely love the sport.
It's a Bryce Harper shirt too, though.
It's Bryce Harper shirt. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
God.
beautiful. Beautiful,
I'm gonna
beautiful,
go
beautiful.
vomit.
The Braves are getting set for the home opener. Obviously, Friday they're going to have some good attendance. Guys, I want to touch on this because how awesome. We're obviously not going to be able to be there for this weekend, but how awesome is it going to see on your TV Truist Park, I should say, packed out? I mean, as much as it can be. It's going to be cool to see some fans there and have some noise because I guarantee you the 13 to 14,000 that are allowed in the gates are going to sound more like 25 to 30,000.
Shout out to YouTube TV and Bally Sports for not letting me watch the game.
That's all you got to say?
That's all I got.
All
I
you
will
got.
miss it.
You'll miss it. Well, Ralph, how do you feel on it? I mean, this is an opportunity for the Braves to come back home to establish some consistency and to really get a revenge opportunity against the Phillies here early on in the season.
I think it's just awesome to bring back sports with fans. I think it's just awesome. We saw it, in the playoffs last year to the end. Obviously, the Braves didn't get the turnout they wanted. Obviously, losing Game 7 to the Dodgers, but they're home. They get to see their fans again for the first time in over a year. It's going to feel awesome. I know the Braves fans are going to be there to be loud as all get out. I know it's going to be exciting. I know Freddie's excited to be home. I saw his wife post on Instagram today. She hadn't seen him in 6 weeks. So, and I think someone said Freddie's about to go off this weekend. I really think, especially for guys like that, with families, you haven't seen their families in 6 weeks. That's huge. I mean, you get to see your kids, you get all that, and they get to see you and playing in person. It's going to be great for all those guys, and especially I know I wish I was there. I think I'm going next week. I'm really excited. I hope the stadium's just rocking. I really do. I really hope that the Phillies don't know what's going on when they're at the bat.
Yeah, I think the crowd's going to be fantastic. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch. The Braves are going to have their home opener tomorrow night. Charlie Morton is going to be pitching. And two, you got to give credit where credit's due. Last week, I mean, Aaron Nola when he's on, he's one of the top young pitchers in the National League, if not in the game. I mean, I think he's a very good pitcher. Zach Wheeler has fantastic stuff. He just pitched great. He just outpitched. I mean, it wasn't like the Braves pitched bad from the starting standpoint last week. It's just they got the better of them. And that's what I'm saying. I think we just have to chill out a little bit. You got to calm down. You got to understand that you just have to understand that it's going to be all right. It's going to be completely okay. The Braves are going to be fine. This team's very talented. So I think just taking the temperature of the room, it's all right. It's okay. Ender Inciarte gets a start here every now and then. That's completely fine. Also, he scored a run.
He had a great at bat the other day too. Forced a 3-2 count and got a walk. I mean, it's basically.
I was going to ask how to get on base because we know he can't hit one past the pitcher.
He walked.
Here's the thing, though. Yeah. I'd rather him walk the first than Pache strike out. Who
hit a home run in the playoffs? Who hit a home run in the LCS?
Yohan Camargo, did he hit one?
No, Christian Pache.
Listen, and to go back to obviously the Braves made a trade this past week for Orlando Arcia. That's a good pickup. Plays shortstop, plays third, and I like him too. I mean, he's a good defender. I think they're trying to find that guy that could come in if Dansby gets hurt because we saw that with Hechavarria. And I think too, and I don't think they trust, and Will, I know you may have something to say, I don't think they trust Camargo to play for an extended amount of time at shortstop if Dansby was to go down. You know what I'm saying? If Dansby goes
that happened. We know Camargo can't play shortstop every day.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's fine. I think Arcia is going to be able to provide some a good glove out there, much like Hechavarria. I think that's what the acquisition of Hechavarria did is, hey, we don't have to throw Charlie Culberson or necessarily Yohan Camargo out there for, let's just say, 2 weeks if Dansby goes down. That provides some good. That's what I'm saying last year. That's what I'm saying. That's why, the whole conversation that we just had about Hechavarria, he was on the team last year. That happened all last year. Yeah, but no, the Braves are getting set for the home opener. It's going to be a fun time. Obviously, people are going to be packing out. What's going to be hysterical? Only 13,000 in the stadium. I guarantee you another 13 to 20,000 are probably going to be in the Battery. Probably more than that. It's going to be absolutely packed as the Braves get ready for baseball. Guys, it's been a fun show. We're going to wrap up here with our final thoughts, and it's kind of been something that's going around the college football scene. I had the chance this past weekend to head up to Clemson, South Carolina, and experience their spring game. Don't let anyone ever tell you that colleges don't have money for athletics. Don't let anyone ever tell you that. It's absolutely ridiculous. But, guys, spring games, changing to primetime matchups. Mike Gundy had this conversation. the reason Oklahoma State has not had a typical type of spring game over the past couple of years is because they don't have necessarily the depth. Some of the matchups wouldn't really get the best competition. And so, Ralph, I want to start with you on this. What would it be like if, let's say, Oklahoma State and Arkansas played a game in April 17th that was still set up like a spring scrimmage? I'm not talking about going full force, but it provides, first off, TV money, which I tell you, ESPN, Fox, CBS, they would love those type of matchups. But it offers chances to get real good competition instead of – and it's no – I'm not – the fourth guy on a depth chart and the walk-on is still better than me. I'm not saying this guy's bad, but when you can have a chance to really measure the competition in spring football, that would really help, I think, going forward.
Well, I'm kind of indifferent on this one. I don't know where to go with it, but I really think it'd be fun to watch a spring game like that. I know some high schools do it. I really wish our high school would have done that. I would have been excited doing that kind of stuff, but. It also you could get someone can get injured, during a game and be out for the rest of the year, and you lose that guy during a game that doesn't really count, and that kind of sucks for you. But I wouldn't mind them having like a preseason game, like the NFL has preseason games. Now they're doing 3 instead of 4. But, one preseason game against some, let's say, I'll just use Auburn. Auburn goes and plays, just some random team, Florida, like USF maybe, just random matchups, just once. Your starters play first quarter, second team second quarter, all that kind of stuff. It'd be fun to watch. Obviously Auburn and USF aren't the best matchup, but just when your random schools play each other for one game. I wouldn't like it in spring. I like spring games. You get to see people you don't know about. People, you get to see guys competing for jobs that are going against each other. It's exciting watching just the team play with each other. No one's going to get hurt as much as you expect. I know some injuries happen. It's going to happen. It's football. You don't play soft in football. So, no, I don't really want a spring matchup like that.
Will, which side are you on? Would you like to see, I don't know, Auburn versus UAB and in a spring game to see some guys battle out and get that competition? Or are you more on the side you want to keep it how it is?
I'm all for it. It creates more money for both schools, and it's real competition. I mean, you hear college players, especially at the end of fall camps, all they talk about is they're ready to hit somebody else. Well, you give them a taste of that in spring, and you're probably going to be playing, your big Power 5 schools against your smaller Group of 5, or maybe even FCS schools that play all in the same state. So, these big teams really aren't giving away more than they would be, than if they were scrimmaging themselves. So I'm all for it. It makes it more interesting because a spring game, especially since they're televised now, is basically a glorified scrimmage. They don't do a ton. You don't really get to see a ton of stuff. I know they're still installing their packages, their playbooks and all that, but you still don't really see that much. So it'd be cool to see somebody else, and then you can, you see other coaches that you don't get to see a lot, and they're probably going to be interviewed on the field during the spring game like they are now, and so you just get a taste of something else, which is always a good thing.
Yeah, you get a taste of something else. I guess I understand both points of view. You don't want to have those season-ending injuries, but for Clemson's situation, I was at the game, and their backup quarterback was lost for the season. Their only quarterback depth that they have now is Ugalele and a walk-on, and that's all they have. That's all that they have. And so they have a guy that's coming in the fall, but I should say in the summer, but he couldn't early enroll. So what? No disrespect to the young man, but how much can he offer in a quarterback room that he just steps on campus in August? That's really tough. So I think it poses a great question because we all know that college football derives and it makes its impact on the money side of things. If there is money to be involved, these networks are going to pick it up. It's no big deal. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, not million, multi-billion-dollar business. If the opportunity presents itself, I think it happens. Ralph, honestly, whether we think it should or not, if ESPN says, man, we could have some programming the whole month of April and on a Saturday, listen, they don't get the NCAA tournament, so it's not like they're fighting for that. I think this really could, if they do make the traction, just from a money standpoint, we could see spring games start to change. But hey, if not, you're still going to have your G days, your A days. whatever you want to call them. It's going to be something fun. T-days for Ralph. We'll throw that one in there. But look, I think it's going to be a ton of fun to see kind of how this changes, because if not, then you're going to have maybe not some – I'm not saying inter-conference matchups, but, I mean, a Georgia Tech versus a Georgia State, a Georgia versus a Georgia Southern, Auburn versus UAB, Alabama versus Troy or South Alabama. Like you point out, Florida versus USF. Florida will never play UCF in anything, so let's just don't even try to entertain that. But seriously, I think it could be something that could generate some excitement and be a ton of fun. But, guys, appreciate you being on the show. We've had a ton of fun here tonight. I want to make sure that we shout out one more thing that the Crowded Booth is going to be a part of. Obviously, high school recruiting has a ton to do with kind of what we do. Ralph is heading that up, and we're having a ton of fun kind of, talking back and forth. And so on May the 16th, we are going to be up in Villa Rica, Georgia. As you see right here, former head coach Kevin Sumlin is going to be in attendance. It's a massive camp all across the country. Schools are going to be there, and also all across the country, players are coming down. Obviously, one of the big players out of our area, Michael Williams, is going to be in attendance. You're going to see a ton of top players. It's the Hot List Camp, $99. We wanted to shout out if any high school guys are watching or happen to see this clip that we're going to put on social media later on. Make sure to make that appointment, because, Ralph, we're going to be in attendance. It's going to be a ton of fun to see some of the top guys compete in these type of camps.
I mean, yeah, it's something I got to do when I was in high school. Go against guys you don't see obviously on the field because you're not in the same area as them. You don't see them probably till camps over summer. These big, especially camps like this. One-on-ones are going to be so much fun to watch. 7-on-7 is going to be exciting. It's going to be in your face. I'm gonna be better than you. You have to be better than the guy in front of you. It's how it is. It's intense. It's exciting, and you're gonna see some. You might see some guys you're not really used to seeing. Honestly, you're gonna see some people show up and be better. That's how it is.
Yeah, this is a chance a lot for you're going to have your higher profile guys in the state of Georgia, but a lot of chance for some under the radar guys as well. We appreciate everyone for watching. We hope you enjoy your weekend. We're going to be back on Tuesday as we dive in, and we may talk some spring football around the Columbus area, because, hey, this is the Crowded Booth, and what is our goal? It's able to be Columbus's sports talk show. Yeah, we may give ourselves that label at this point, but we appreciate everyone for watching and tuning in. Will, Ralph, thanks for joining. Enjoy your weekends, guys, and we'll see you back on the show on Tuesday. All right.